Well, Jacob Zuma should decline his nomination as the ANC's presidential candidate. That's according to the Institute for Accountability in South Africa, which has lodged an official objection with the IEC. Let's now speak to the Institute's director. It's Advocate Paul Hoffman who joins us. Advocate, good to have you with us. We understand you wrote an open letter saying calling for the ANC to walk the walk and recall the president as the party's presidential candidate. No mention of your letter, though, in today's NEC briefing.
There was a sort of sideways reference to it when Kathy Mshahlana asked a question about it. But certainly what Gwedi Montashi said, and the clip that you have just played now, doesn't actually answer the question which we have asked. You'll notice that he says that he is the president of the ANC, which is true, and that he will be the face of the ANC going into the general election, and that he remains the number one candidate of the ANC. But he doesn't say what happens after the election, because the first thing that happens in the National Assembly after the election is that the 400 men and women of South Africa who are elected to the National Assembly are then made into an electoral college under the chairmanship of the Chief Justice or another judge designated by the Chief Justice. And those 400 people have to make a call on whether or not the nominees who are put up should get their vote. And he hasn't dealt with that at all, whether by omission or whether on purpose. The Secretary General of the ANC has not actually responded to the question that has been raised, both in the open letter, which was sent to him on the 27th of March, and also in yesterday's official objection to the IEC, saying that while we have no difficulty with President Zuma being one of the members of Parliament for the ANC, we do have a difficulty with Jacob Zuma becoming the presidential candidate, because, as you know, in South Africa, our president has a pivotal role to play in our constitutional democracy. He's not only our head of state or our queen or king, but also our head of the national executive, the person who chooses the cabinet and gets the country to be run, as well as the ceremonial positions of a head of state. So it is, from our old dispensation, it is the President and Prime Minister rolled into one as the head of state and head of the national executive. One person, one set of duties that embrace both roles.
Advocate Hoffman, if I may come in, Advocate, I don't mean to be rude. My apologies for interrupting.
No problem.
Exactly what is the issue with President Zuma? Why do you want him recalled? You have touched on it and you've spoken about the mechanics of how it all works. I want to try and understand exactly what have you put forward. Why should he not be their candidate?
In a sentence, we say that President Zuma is too compromised and too conflicted to properly discharge his oath of office and to rationally fulfill the duties of the president that are required of him in terms of our constitution. He takes an oath of office which obliges him to uphold and maintain the constitution, and he has duties imposed upon him, obligations by the constitution itself. And because of the situation in which he finds himself, not only because of Nkandla, which is the final straw that breaks the camel's back, but also because of the criminal charges laid against him by the EFF and the DA, and indeed by IFESA, in relation to the allegations against him in the Nkandla report, the 783 unresolved charges of corruption, fraud, racketeering and money laundering, going way back to the Shabir Sheikh days, which are still alive in the sense that they are part of review proceedings that the president has been resisting for the last 5 years.
Advocate Hoffman,
So
thank you
taken together,
very, very
that's
much.
too much.
Advocate, I realize this, and you actually painted quite a picture regarding this open letter, and I do thank you for coming on and speaking to us about this today. We wait to see what happens with this. That's the director for the Institute for Accountability in Southern Africa. It's Advocate Paul Hoffman. We expect to see more of this story as we get closer to the deadline for the candidacy list for the IEC.
Know more about your world.
enca.com